all. Hope you are doing fine and well. So today we are going to discuss about a question from the novel The Vendor of Sweets. Right? So let's see what the question is. Now this is an essay type question. So the question is, had Ambika been alive, there would not have been a conflict between Jagan and Mali, discussed with reference to the novel The Vendor of Sweets. So when you look at this question, the source is the year-end evaluation 2016, Western Province. So how the mark allocation is there for your essay type question? For content, you get 7 marks. Language, you get 4 marks. Organization, you get 4 marks. And total would be out of 15. So if you write the best answer, you can score the best, right? So let's see how you can write an answer for this kind of question. So you are given a statement and you have to discuss this statement with reference to the novel. Okay, right. Now, brainstorming for the introduction. So you can tell something about the novel and the author in general in the introductory paragraph. Then give a brief introduction about the relationship among Mali, Jagan, Ambika, who they are and how they are interrelated. Is there a conflict between Jagan and Mali? If so, what? Then will it have been sorted out if Ambika was alive? So those are the things that you need to focus when you are writing an answer. Those are the things that should be in your head. Then I have given you a sample introductory paragraph for the aforementioned question, but you don't need to stick to this thing. You can write your own answer. Okay, so take this only as a sample, a model, right? So you should start writing your own versions, right? So the novel Vendor of Sweets is written by the distinguished Indian novelist R.K Narayan. For the word distinguished, you can use the popular, well-known, preeminent writer, you can say, or the award-winning writer, award-winning novelist, you can say whatever. Then, the plot of this post-colonial Indian novel revolves around a sweet seller named Jagan and his son Mali, who lives in a village named Malgudi. The writer successfully presents the generation gap between Jagan and Mali while showcasing their attitude clashes and a series of internal conflicts. However, it is evident that if Jagan's late wife Ambika had been alive, there would not have been a conflict between Jagan and Mali. Thus, this also will focus on the possibility of how the conflict between Jagan and Mali could have been resolved if Ambika was with them. Now, I have defined the question and I have defined who the author is, and I think this is sufficient for an introductory paragraph. So you can write your own version. Okay, right. So now, after writing the first paragraph, you have to decide what to write in the second paragraph. Now, the first thing you need to remember is the students, what they do is they don't have a proper organization in the head, right? So you need to have an organization of the answer, how you are going to write this answer. Just decide on what are the points in the brainstorming session. Maybe like before the exam, like take a piece of paper and jot down like roughly the part of the thing that you are going to discuss in each paragraph if you have time. If not, you can just decide that thing, imagine that thing in your head. So I have divided, like taken certain factors with like, main points or a topic sentence you would say to discuss in each paragraph, right? So the first thing that I have focused is close relationship between Mali and Ambika, right? Mali loved Ambika a lot. It is notable how tenderly he attended Ambika when she was severely sick. On the other hand, Ambika waited for a long time for a child and she loved her only child with all her heart, as any mother would do. Okay, if you read chapter 12, you can see how she was anticipating a child when all the family members tell her that she's an infertile woman. Okay, so some important woman. So Mali came like as the blessing of the God, likewise, according to them. So she was anticipating a child. She wanted to restore her family status as a mother, as a wife. So Mali was a blessing for her, right? So therefore, she loved him so much. So that relationship is quite important. But due to her untimely death, you can understand what sort of difficulties Mali would have faced. So the boy might have caused this might have caused a huge trauma in Mali's little mind. So you can see the quotation that I have put here. In rare moments of lucidity, she beckoned to him and accepted the diet if he fed her. He came running home from school in order to feed her, rarely going out to play with his friends. So, the loss of a mother in child's life is something which is unbearable, intolerable. So that you can take as the first point to elaborate in the paragraph. Okay, the second paragraph. First you wrote the introductory paragraph, now this is the second paragraph. Let's see what you can write in the third paragraph. Relationship between Jagan and Ambika. So, although Ambika did not approve certain traditional beliefs of Jagan, they used to be a good couple. It could have been difficult for Jagan to tolerate the untimely death of Ambika. So again, if you focus on chapter 12, you can see how their relationship started and all, right? So unlike who did not change with the time, Ambika was ready to embrace new things. When Jagan did believe in nature cure and natural treatment, Ambika wanted aspirins. So she knew like what is good from the traditional things and what is good from the modern things. So she is some sort of an intermediate person. It is also notable that Jagan lives his life as a widow without marrying somebody else to look after him and his little son. So also Jagan gave up his tanning activities in order to fulfill his wife's last wish. So again, I'm focusing on the gap created by Ambika as a wife in Jagan's life. Earlier we discussed the gap created by Ambika as a mother in Mali's life. So at the same time, Mali also might have the notion that Jagan is partially responsible for Ambika's death. Now, why I'm saying that thing? Because if you could remember, Jagan was believing in these margosa leaves and margosa flowers for the cure, but she died with brain tumor, which is a sort of a severe disease even now. So this novel was written in the time period of 1967. It might have been so severe disease by then, right? So that of course you need to keep in mind. And so therefore Mali might have a slight notion because of the father's stupid beliefs. My mother died likewise. So if Ambika was alive, it could have been easier for Jagan to attend to the matters of Mali. So therefore you can see Ambika would have been acted as an intermediator between Jagan and Mali, right? So let's go to the next paragraph. So the fourth paragraph, the relationship between Jagan and Mali. So if you look at their relationship, you know that it's really a complicated one. So Jagan always pity Mali, thinking that he's a motherless poor boy. He thinks that if he blames Mali, that would upset him. Thus, Jagan make no attempt to correct Mali and his way of lavish living. Okay, so how he lavishly spend, he's a spendthrift life. Okay, he's spending so much, he's wasting money, right? He tiptoed away, looking elsewhere, muttering to himself irrelevantly, poor boy, let him be. If you could recall this incident while Jagan was coming back home from the shop, so Mali is idling with his friends near the lovely statue. And what would your fathers would do if they found you idling here and there in the town in the night? They would bring you home, right? So, but Jagan is bit of a coward father, and he did not correct Mali at the right point. And later on, you can see the circumstances. But if Ambika was alive, the things would have been different, right? So, but you can see Ambika is not that much of a cowardly person when compared to Jagan. So, without teaching the proper values to the son, he is much worried about the dietary arrangements of his son. Okay, so since Jagan was afraid to correct Mali, he take decisions in life alone without the consent of the father, and he tend to believe that Jagan knows nothing, and his father always clinging to past. Just like Ambika disapproved the theories, Mali also ridiculed them, right? So you can see that. Also, now, looking at the background of the novel, in an Asian context, it is mother who always worry about the food and the eating habits of the child. Isn't that so? If you refuse to eat your meals and all, who comes and ask you, ah, son, are you not eating? Daughter, aren't you eating? It's your mom if she's there. However, even if you are hungry, you don't go and say like, father, cook me some meal or something. You definitely will go to mother. However, Jagan always tries to talk about food, and that embarrasses Mali. This maternal instinct embarrasses Mali because from the father, in an Asian context I am talking of, the child takes some sort of this masculine, especially a boy, right? So the father becomes the role model, right? But for a daughter, mother becomes the role model. Most of the cases, like how to like showcase herself as a sort of a strong woman. So now we do not see that personality from the Jagan. And if Ambika would have been there, she could have helped to create this bridge between them. So maybe he did not want the food to be cooked by his father. It might be a troubling feeling for him to see his father trying to play the role of the mother, right? So, father, why don't you engage a cook? Somali asked. I don't want you to cook for me. We have our college canteen. I can look after myself. So, the child considered this as a burden, right? So, their only connection is the 5 rupee note Jagan keeps each day on the table. So, you can see how sparse and how, like, uh, you know, unstable their relationship was. Ultimately, Mali started to eat from the school canteen, Anand Bhavan. Even when Mali quits from the school, Jagan is afraid to ask why. What would your fathers say or mothers say, like, if you quit from the school, I don't want to go to school anymore? What would happen? Right? So, Ambika displays more solid personality than Jagan, which we see like as some sort of a character deficient in Jagan. One can imagine that Ambika's parenting skills would have been better than of Jagan if Jagan tried to build a rapport with the son with a paternal instinct, that means a fatherly instinct. Mali would have been much better son. So you can comment on that. Now, this is just my viewpoint, but you can either agree, disagree, you're free to do that. So the situation might have been different if Ambika was alive. Okay. Then Ambika would have acted as a mediator between the father and son's conflict. As the kid, Mali was supportive to Jagan's tanning activities, but once he grew up, he started hating that. So, one reason is the bad stench of the leather, and the other might be mother's situation. So, mother was sick, and mother hated the stench of the leather. Now, Jagan was never a good listener, remember that. Okay, whenever Mali tries to speak to Jagan, does not give him the full attention. Even when he was after like stopped going to school, or when he was telling that he's going to America, or like once he's back when he was talking about his story writing machine, you do not see Jagan focusing or giving full attention to his son. His mind diverged on irrelevant factors like Mali's food, clothes, appearance, his interior designing of the room, whatsoever. So one may argue that Ambika would have been a better listener if she was alive. Okay, so was always attentive to son's needs. So we see that thing, right? So lack of communication between father and son leads to a deterioration of their relationship. It is notable that they live under the same roof and not even talk to each other for several days. Father Jagan was thrilled. After many days, he was called father again. See, they live under the same roof and he doesn't even call him father. Jagan and Mali represent, on the other hand, extreme ends of traditionality and modernity. So Ambika would have acted as a mediator of these two extreme ends. Okay, so the clash between traditionality and the Western culture, or else young and the old, the generation gap. So for all these conflicts which occur between those two, Ambika would have been the mediator. Then also you can see later on this Grace arrival, the half Korean, half American girlfriend of Mali. So Grace inability to fill the gap created by Ambika's death. So she's the second female turns into the house after Ambika's death, and she has no ability to fill the gap. So we can't just put the blame on Grace. I'm just telling that Even like if Ambika was there, she could have done better than Grace. So it's notable how Grace attempted to keep the communication between Mali and Jagan through letters when they were in America. Jagan was taken aback when he got to know those letters were written by just Grace, not Mali. Right? So it says that the Mali like was seemed to be extremely communicative from overseas. But later on, we find that it's Grace who has written. Then all the Grace is from a foreign origin. She tries her level best to adapt to Indian ways of life. So, however, in that attempt, she becomes confused in between the two worlds of Mali and Jagan. Then Grace fails to convince Mali about what to do and not to do. So, out of love, she gives all her money, even for the success of Mali Enterprises. On the other hand, she tries to do her level best to impress the father and be a good Indian daughter in law, doing cleaning, washing the vessels, likewise. So, you can see she's lost between. Okay, ultimately, all her attempts go in vain, and she lost her true identity amidst of the internal clash of father and the son. Right? So, if Ambika was alive, the situation might have been different. Maybe Mali might not have gone to America or might not have brought an Indian daughter-in-law. Not an Indian one, like a sort of half American, half Korean daughter-in-law. Sorry. So later on, although Jagan seems to miss Grace's presence, she was never successful in filling the gap caused by Ambika's death. Now, according to Narayan's manifestation, the main reason for Jagan and Mali's attitude problem is both of them think they are correct and the other one is wrong. Lack of mutual understanding and sparse or no communication between each other also resulted in creating family turmoil. Thus, taking all these factors into consideration, it can be concluded that the conflict between Jagan and Mali would not have arisen if Ambika was alive. So I hope this answer was useful for you, this explanation, and thank you very much for listening.